while since Stanford has been, shall we say, good at football. They've always been smart. They've got a lot of smart kids. No one's doubting that. But being good at football, well, that's a different story for the Cardinal. It's been a while. But they've got a plan. And that plan was put into motion, and they're ahead of schedule. And I'm going to explain to you all why that is here on the College Huddle. Make sure you do us a big favor. Smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel on our march to 1,000 subscribers. We're less than 200 away. If you are a fan of Stanford, if you're a fan of Andrew Luck, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Let's go ahead and see some of that Cardinal love. Of course, this is an everyday college football podcast. The College Huddle has 86 independent podcasts from coast to coast covering your favorite teams. And today, it's the Cardinal that gets the attention here on the College Huddle. All right, let's break this down for everybody. It's been a while since the Cardinal has been any good, okay? Let's look at some of the past seasons. I know this is going to be a little bit painful to get through, but getting through this and explaining where they're at and what the vision for the future holds and why they were so smart to do what they did, coupled with the news that came out a week ago about NIL, and all of a sudden you can see the vision that Andrew Luck and Stanford has been putting in place for their football program to be competitive in the future. Troy Taylor, 2024, he was 3 of 9, head coach at Stanford. 2023, 3 of 9. David Shaw in his last year in 2022, 3 and 9. 2021, 3 and 9. 4 consecutive seasons at 3 and 9. They had a winning record in the shortened COVID year, 4 and 2 in 2020. But then in 2019, 4 and 8, just about like a 3 and 9 season. The last time Stanford went to a bowl game was in 2018. They were 9 and 4, 6 and 3 in the Pac-12. They ended up going to and winning the Sun Bowl. 9 and 5 in 2017, 10 and 3 in 2016, 12 and 2 in 2015, went to and won the Rose Bowl in 2015. So it's been 10 years since Stanford was in the upper echelon of college football. 12 and 2 season, 8 and 1 in the Pac-12 that season. Why do I believe they are on the path to getting back to that level of where they were? Well, it starts with the hiring of Andrew Luck. Of course, this came all the way back in November of last year when it was announced that Andrew Luck would become the general manager of the football program. One of, if not the most famous football player to ever don the scarlet or the cardinal red, I guess is the color that they have there, the cardinal and white. And he comes back in an interim role of basically running this college football program. Now, the first thing he did was he needed a head coach, and he went out and got the guy who he trusted, and someone who he knew from his days with the Colts as quarterback there in Indianapolis. And he went out and got Coach Frank Reich. And now, when Frank came on, he did something very smart here. They said, "Look, I'm coming in as basically an interim coach. I'm going to coach one season here, and I'm going to give you, Andrew, and this university a season to find your long-term head coach for this program." And so what it did was it immediately stabilized everything, okay? No, this guy's not coming in here to be the coach for the next 10, 15 plus years, right? But he is a really good coach who knows ball, who has a ton of experience, been coaching in the NFL since 2006. Most of that with Indianapolis, finished as the head coach of Carolina in 2023, was the head coach in Indy for, was it 6 seasons, 2018 to 2022. after being an offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at several different stops, including Indianapolis at the beginning of his coaching career, where he coached basically as a staffer and then a position coach from 2006 to 2011. So he offers a lot of football knowledge, stability, a calm voice to just bring some calmness to the program for one calendar year and give Andrew Luck time to do a thorough search on who will be the best fit for that coaching position moving forward in Stanford and bring this program back to prominence down the road. Okay. So, number one, they calmed everything down. Number two, they have, I think, clear expectations of where they are now, who they are, and so they're not getting this like, oh my gosh, this is our fifth terrible season, the sky is falling. No, 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 no. We know who we are, we know where we're at, but what's the plan to get there in the future? And Andrew Luck has been working on that for almost a calendar year now. And in that, he has done some very, very smart things. So not only bringing in Frank Reich was one of the smart things he did to get that stability, but then news broke last week, and this is incredibly interesting when you stop and you think about it, that all of a sudden Andrew Luck has got a large sum of cash in NIL to play with. And the news broke that a former football player with the program donated $50 million to the program. A graduate of 1964, played on the football team. Bradford M. Freeman gifted $50 million to Stanford to specifically use in NIL. Now, here's the difference between why I think Stanford will, in long term, be incredibly successful as opposed to most programs. If you give most programs $50 million, what do they do with it? Well, they're going to divvy that up into different areas, maybe player retention. They're going to do transfer portal. They're going to do recruiting, and they're going to spend the majority of that $50 million up front because that head coach is going to be greedy and they're like, hey, we need to spend it now. Stanford's got some smart people. That's not what's going to happen here. Stanford is going to take that 50 million and they're going to invest that 50 million. And they're going to be able to pull from that 50 million, who I don't know how much per year, but they're going to take that 50 million and they're going to be able to invest it in a way to where they're getting millions out of it forever and continue to be able to use that for NIL. So it's a great starting point. It's not the answer for one season or even for one head coaching tenure. It is a starting point for Stanford to create a fund to be able to use for the life of the program if they're smart, and obviously they're smart, that they then will be able to use in NIL indefinitely. Now, how much will that be? I don't know. A guys a lot smarter than me, like him, will be able to figure that stuff out. But it's going to give Stanford a massive, massive advantage, guys. And so I just wanted to point that out to you. I think it's really intelligent. And really, I haven't heard too many people talk about that. They're just like, oh my gosh, 50 million. Oh man, they're going to be good in no time. It takes more than that to be good. It takes a lot more things to be good than just throwing money at a problem. You have to have the infrastructure in place. You have to have the people within that infrastructure in place who are smart and know how to use the funds given to them to do more with less to be good. And of course, it's well documented and everybody knows Stanford's at a quote unquote disadvantage because of their standard, their academic standard in order to play there. But to me, it's never really caused them issues in the past, and it shouldn't really cause them issues in the future. And given now the benefit of the 50 million with it, If you're a kid who say you're looking at this and you're like, man, I could go to Duke, or I could go to Northwestern, or I could go to Stanford or the Ivy League. Oh, and by the way, Stanford can also offer you more NIL than anybody else. It's a no-brainer at that point. It's a no-brainer at that point. Maybe you're really good at football. Maybe you're like on the two deep at Alabama, but you've got like a 4.0 GPA, and you're like, I'm probably never gonna play in the NFL, or if I do, it'll be a late round draft pick. Maybe if I get a chance to get on the field and I don't get passed over by another 5 star, but I can go to Stanford and I can play there. And oh yeah, he's pretty good. He was developed at Alabama. So that's the kind of person that this NIL is going to be able to attract, coupled with the educational aspect of it. I think Stanford is on a very good path. Now, there's one more thing I want to point out to all of you. Again, not a whole lot of people have talked about it. The change in the transfer portal window is really creating a stir in college football, because now there's a short window at the end of the season while the college football playoff and some of the bowl games are going on, and you need to make sure that you have your coaching staff in place. What what was done and given to them when Frank Reich said, you know what, I'll give you a year and I'm not going to coach again. He gave Andrew Luck and his team more time to assess and evaluate the landscape in college football and to find the perfect person to plug into this program moving forward. And so you look at Penn State, you look at Oklahoma State, you look at Virginia Tech, you look at these programs, probably Wisconsin soon, maybe even North Carolina, and they're going to be behind the 8 ball trying to scurry to find somebody. And then what about the schools who lose a coach to one of these places, who now have to find a coach? They've been doing this for an entire season now. They've been evaluating the landscape for an entire season. I think they've got a short list already made, and I think that they've got a handful of coaches who I think they know that they can plug in, who's going to be successful in this era with the culture that they already have in Stanford, with the criteria that it's going to take to win at Stanford. I think they've got that list narrowed down now already, and they are way ahead of the game compared to everybody else, which is why I believe, coupling all that together, Stanford is ahead of schedule. And watch out, it might take a few years. It might take a few years. Stanford's going to be back on top, and they're going to be a program that is going to be very attractive when the ACC finally implodes. Old Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10. Those are going to be their options. Now, are they going to get all three and they're going to be able to choose? No, I don't think that'll be the case. But if they can get things turned around to where the next deal breaks down, television deal, and the ACC's no longer legit, or the ACC's got all the good teams plucked out from under them, and they're basically a glorified, G5 at that point, and Pac-12 comes back knocking again, or the Big 12 says, hey, we're going to take a few more of you. Or what if the Big 10 says, we've got these 4 West Coast schools out here, you guys look awful attractive now because you're a much better program. Academically, you're going to add more prestige to the conference. You're already an AAU school. I'm not so sure the Big Ten might not circle back around to Stanford. And if that's the case, hats off to Andrew Luck and the decisions that Stanford has made to become relevant once again. But they're going to have to become a good football team, and they're putting the things in place in order to do that, not only in the immediate future, but the long term. All right, guys, that's it for today. Let me know what you think about Stanford down in the comment section below. Do you agree with my points? Do you disagree with my points? And did I miss anything about this story that I should know about this? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Let me know what you know, so that we can all be better college football fans together. We'll be back tomorrow with another college football video and story for you right here on the College Huddle. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss. Ring the bell, get notified, everybody. Have a good day.